Hello, everyone. This is the Traditionalist, and today I will be talking about someone who is possibly the worst artist of all time. Now, most of you guys have probably never heard of Jess Dobkin, and you'll be happy you didn't, but unfortunately, today you will be finding out about her. So, I have already talked about art before on this channel. In fact, my first video series on this channel is about modern art and why it is complete trash. But although we looked at a lot of the art, we didn't look at a lot of the artists. Today I will be talking about this artist in particular. Now, she isn't really a modern artist, but what she does is way worse than what any modern artist has ever done. So, Jess Dobkin is a performance artist who is based in Toronto, Canada. And her best known work is called The Lactation Station. So that should already give you an idea of who she is. So let's look at some of her credentials. Well, she has a BA in Women's Studies and an MFA, I don't know what that is, but in performance art. And guess what? She is a fellow at the Mark S. Bonham Center for Sexual Diversity Studies. So, before we even get on to some of her work, let's just point out the fact that this is what her credentials are. She went to university at Oberlin College and at Rutgers University. And after all that time, at least 4 years, maybe even more, all she did was get a degree in women's studies and be a fellow at some Center for Sexual Diversity Studies. So let's make something clear. Women's studies is not a degree. Women's studies is not anything useful, and it is not an accomplishment to do women's studies. Women's studies is quite literally feminist indoctrination. And no, I am not even making that up. I know people use the word indoctrination a lot, but women's studies is quite literally feminist indoctrination. The only thing you do in women's studies is learn about feminism, learn about how women are oppressed, blah, 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 blah. It's the most useless, stupid degree. And the fact that anyone would take that seriously and that anyone would be like, oh, what are you studying in university? Oh, I study women's studies. Okay, well, you're hired. That is not only a waste of time, but you learn nothing. It is very dangerous for society. And most importantly, it's not anything you can get a career with unless you want to be a feminist. But the fact that people pretend like it's some actual career is what really bothers me. And of course, she is a fellow at the Center for Sexual Diversity Studies at the University of Toronto, and this shows just how bad our country has become. But the fact that we have a Center for Sexual Diversity Studies, I wonder what that means. It means obviously just studying for LGBT stuff, because sexual diversity is just code for LGBT. But yeah, this sexual diversity studies thing, that it's really just indoctrination. There's nothing you do at sexual diversity studies except promoting LGBT. All right, so now let's look at some of her life. So she first emerged as a performance artist in 2002, and her works draw on her experience as a lesbian, well, imagine my shock, and a mother. And this points another problem in our society where people like this are allowed to become mothers. As we know, a kid needs a father and a mother, and without a father, there are so many problems. Children are more likely to become violent, to drop out, to get killed, to get pregnant. There's so many problems. And so already it's bad enough with single mothers, and I already explained that in the types of mothers who don't deserve Happy Mother's Day. But when you're being raised by two women, it's even worse. And of course, this is not even normal, so no, this shouldn't be allowed, but whatever. She's, I guess, a mother, although not really. And so we can't really change that. So continues. Her body often figures prominently in her performances. I wonder what that means. Well, let's take an example. For example, Fee for Service was a performance installation where audience members were invited to sharpen a pencil in her vagina. Okay, first of all, how is that even possible? Okay, whatever. We're not gonna think about how that's possible. The fact that this kind of wicked and despicable degeneracy is being allowed, and that is promoted as art, shows you everything wrong with society. The fact that you can just be touching people's most private parts, and that these people are willing to show it, that they're even putting objects in it, is just so disgusting. So moving on. All right, so let's look at her major exhibitions. So in 2006, she exhibited the Lactation Station in Toronto at the Ontario College of Art and Design's Professional Gallery. In this exhibition, Dobkin invited audience members to sample human breast milk. Now, if this isn't bad, then I can't tell you what is. The fact that you are inviting grown adults to be drinking your milk is not only disgusting, but just remember the way she does it, as you can, I mean, I blur it out, but the way you can see it, you can know, is just look at this image. She's squeezing it out directly from her body into there, into cups, and then getting people to drink it. That is just so sick and evil, and like the fact that people are just fine with it. And look, this exhibition was even partly funded by the Canada Council for the Arts. So great, this is the best art we can produce in our country. Um, Now, luckily, prompted Health Canada to issue a national warning against buying human breast milk, but the fact that people are even willing to buy it just shows how wrong everything is in our society. There's not really that much. Well, let's just look at some of the list of her so-called works. Monothemes, The Magic Hour, The Artist Run Newsstand, Performance Art Army, Acting Performance Audience, Performance Artists for Hire, Free Childcare Provided, Affirmation for Artists, Everything I've Got Being Green, Mirror Ball, Clown Car, Fee for Service, Emergency Exits Restored, Attending, Composite Body, Mad Chef, Magic Trick, An Ontario Bride Seeks American Wives, Talk to Me, but let's look at four, which I have not mentioned. So one of them from 2011, Bleeding at the Bowl. One of them, The Lactation Station, which I already mentioned. One of them called The Two Boobs, and one of them called 6 Degrees of Lesbianation. So that's all there is to say about her. This is by far the worst artist I've ever heard of. I have seen many actually bad artists, so I'm not exaggerating. Now look, maybe one day I will find someone who's worse than her, and it's pretty likely. But the fact is, I've never seen a so-called artist this degenerate, this honestly satanic, this evil, and this wicked, who is willing to debase herself so much. But what can we learn from this? Well, we can learn that this is what happens when you allow everything. This is why I'm not a huge fan of freedom, because, and I don't mean freedom like I'm not a huge fan of freedom in the sense that, yeah, I want everyone to be slaves. But what I mean is you can't live in this anarchy where everyone can do whatever they want. Like, we need to have moral codes. Like, sure, it's nice to have the law as well, but we need to have moral rules, because right now we have no morality. And this is the perfect example. This is why I can't help but laugh every time atheists say that they still have some sort of morality. No, this is the society you created. If we're in a Christian society, this person would be in jail. So the fact that atheists are like, oh, we still have morality because, like, oh yeah, we don't think killing is good. Well, you kill your kids. So really, like, and killing is the absolute worst moral thing you can do. So if you're willing to do that, then yeah, it's proof, one, that atheists have no morals. Two, it shows just, yeah, the problem with too much freedom. Uh, Three, it shows, yeah, that people in this day and age have so little moral and are so degenerate and hedonistic that they're willing to do anything. Because remember, this woman only is able to do this stuff because she has customers. Um, Now, four, it just exposes the fake art that were around, because if this is art and the modern art is art, then no, we don't have any art left. And finally, but most importantly, point number five, this is what happens when you let the community she's part of, let's just put it that way, gain control. Just remember, the community, they always just say they want to exist. They just want equal rights. They've existed forever, and they've had equal rights for a very long time. And yet they never stop. They just keep getting worse and worse. Just remember, and just as we saw with the Lil Nas X video, the goal of the community was never to ever just let them live free. That was never the goal. Because once they were given equal rights, And once they're even allowed to marry, were they happy? No. Now they're pushing this stuff on us. Um, they're pushing it on the kids with Lil Nas X, and they're pushing it with in art with this. And the point is that this community, their entire goal is just sexual immorality and just everything that is wrong, that is evil, and that is perverted. And so, yeah, that is all that I am going to say about this. But yeah, this is a horrible person. And even though this was probably a little disgusting, same time, I hope you learned something new and you're more aware about some of these problems. So anyways, have a nice day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.